All right, what's going on, family? Hopefully everybody's doing good out there. What's up? What's up? What's up? All right, I'm almost coming to an end to this book. 50 Cent, Curtis, 50 Cent Jackson, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. And when I first got into making content, I used to read from books all the time. And I used to make videos all the time about specific books. I'm not selling this stuff, but it's a rarity. It's been years, and I will say years. So shout out to 50 Cent on this book. It has been years since I've been able to read a book and be like, yo, I have to talk about this. And so that's why I said shout out to 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson on this one, because he really went in on this one. Okay, he really went in on this one. So he's talking about the mother of his first child. All right, and this is some real life stuff, relationship stuff in regards to friendships, in regards to cutting people off. All right, because you have times you just have to cut people out of your life or cut certain things out of your life, habits, in order for you to improve and make a move. All right, so let's get into it. This book by 50 Cent. He said it's the 20-year vacation. That's deep. 50 Cent says, when I first got together with Shaniqua, neither of us had much. We were both living in what we perceived to be the bottom. He said 50 Cent said our goals didn't extend much past having a decent place to stay and fresh clothes to wear. The simple things in life. He says, then my situation changed. Obviously, he became successful, 50 Cent. And he says, I suddenly had resources at my disposal. A lot of resources, and I wanted to share them with Shaniqua, his first child's mother. We weren't together anymore, but she was the mother of my son. She was with me before the fame, and I acknowledged and respected that. And that's what's up, because he was not married to her, even though he had a child with her, has a child with her. Even though his child is grown now, he says, but he wanted the best for her. And I think especially because he never forgot that she was with him when he was down and out, when he had nothing and nobody knew who he was. All right. So much respect on that, because he could have just been like, have a nice life. I'll take care of my son, but I'm going to act like I don't really know you like that. My personal opinion, but I'll leave it at that. All right. 50 Cent says, she saw me rise and I wanted to help her find her own success. He says, with that in mind, I would ask her, what you want to do with your life? Did she want to go to school? Did she want to learn the interior design, fashion? He says, I kept asking her to identify the occupation that she wanted that would provide her with some kind of purpose that could provide both wealth and personal satisfaction. So people would kill for this kind of mentorship that 50 Cent was offering his child's mother. I'm going to InvestFest on August 22nd. If you're going to be in Atlanta, let me know. In InvestFest, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a content creator, if you're about doing investments, hit up the inbox, comment, all that good stuff. I had the pleasure of seeing 50 Cent last year and meeting him for like 5 seconds at InvestFest. But the game he was giving out, it was incredible. And it was just real talk. It's just, this is the kind of energy that I, when it comes to other men, I want to be around. Because, like I said, going to InvestFest is like me going to the Super Bowl for me, since I don't watch sports. And it's much cheaper to do so as well. But I'm going to leave that alone. Okay. So, he said, not only would this be good for her personally, but I also wanted our son to be raised by someone who had a career of her own. But no matter how many times I asked Shaniqua, never had an answer for me in regards to asking her what does she want to do with her life. He says, I bring it up different possibilities and scenarios, but there was never a connection. It was incredibly frustrating. I didn't like sending a check every month to someone who didn't seem to have any interest in working. She might as well have been on welfare back in the hood that they came from. And this is just another form of welfare, because he was giving back to a person that was there for him when he had nothing. But he was rising to the occasion to do other things in his life, and she was not. I mean, it goes back to leaving people the heck alone when you're on a trajectory to do great things, but leave the losers behind. No matter how much you love them, no matter what connection, that last name, if they're family members, that last name, if they're sucking you dry like a tick, let them go. It's very simple. That last name means nothing to me. If we have the same last name, it means nothing to me unless we're connected on some other level. But that's just my personal opinion. I'll leave it at that. That's why a lot of people's families don't prosper, because they go off of a last name only, but they're not going off of personality. They're not going off of what we can do with one another. Let's be real. Family, relationships, and whatnot, and friendships, before, there was quote unquote what we call civilized society today, was based off of what one could do for one another. Let's just keep it real. That's how villages from all over the world strive, because everybody, and I dare say everybody, pitched in somehow, some way, even if they had a physical deformity on some sort of level, some sort of handicap. They found a way to pitch in and not just sit there, get drunk, get high, and watch Netflix and chill and be on social media and try to look cute. But I digress. All right. So, anyways, he says it was incredibly frustrating. And he says the only difference here was that she was getting a bigger check from me than she would have gotten from Uncle Sam. It finally came to a head one day when I was visiting her and Marquez, his son, one weekend. He says, "So what do you want to do?" I asked her once again. She just looked at me, rolled her eyes, and said, "Ain't nobody trying to work if they don't have to." He said, "OS." I stuttered. I suspect that people thought that way, but no one has ever been ill enough to actually say it out loud in front of me, basically saying that they don't want to work. He says, "You already did it," she said to him. He says, she said firmly, "So why should I have to do it too? I'm good." Basically saying I shouldn't have to work, even though I have a connection to 50 Cent. I have a child with 50 Cent. I have a way to go up on a trajectory because of 50 Cent, because of the millions that he's making. And he's projected to make more, and obviously financially he has. But I'm good. I just want to collect this check and be left the heck alone. That's the energy that she displayed to him. And he says, 50 Cent says, "I don't mean to sound dramatic, but it was one of the most shocking conversations of my life." And he says, "I've had a lot of conversations people would consider shocking, because obviously the lifestyle that 50 Cent came from, how he grew up, and all the crazy things, being in the street." He says, "I am extremely serious about the value of hard work. I believe it creates not only success, but happiness too. You can never feel satisfied if you're not applying yourself to something you're passionate about." Now, before I go forward, I 100% agree. I said to myself today, like, people that win the lottery and whatnot, a lot of times they end up losing their money because it was money that, one, was not earned, and two, because the mindset was never on, if I make this amount of money, how am I going to invest it? What investment asset categories is it going to go into? Is it going to go into real estate? Am I going to get a franchise? Am I going to get stocks, bonds, cryptocurrencies? How am I going to make that money grow? Or am I just going to buy a bunch of crap and then eventually it's all going to be gone? Am I going to still work and add value to this life, just doing it on my own terms? Like a friend said to me today, if I'm going to invest my money in something, it has to be something I'm passionate about outside of the regular cryptocurrencies, stocks, and whatnot. He said, "I'm going to do real estate. I'm going to get into a specific franchise I might want to get into." He said, "But I have to be passionate about it. If not, it might as well just be another job." And that's the case in point that I'm making right now. That no matter, you see all these rich people, Jeff Bezos, whether you like him or not, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, these people never have to work again. They have made millions and billions of dollars, but yet and still they are working because they want to add some sort of value in their life. They're not chasing money. They're chasing goals. They're chasing passion. This person had no passion. Shaniqua had no passion. And the fact that 50 Cent, and clearly this is why it didn't work out, because like me, the older I get, look, I'm on here, I see a bunch of beautiful women all the time, but I'm not, being turned on by beautiful's face is one thing, but I'm really turned on by a woman who has goals and ambitions outside of being basic and boring. I would hope other men that want to do things in their life would fall in the same category. But that's just my personal opinion. I'll leave it at that, okay? But anyways, last but not least, I'm not going to read the whole book. I just wanted to read this one part. He says, when Shaniqua said, "Ain't nobody work if they don't have to. It was like she was just dismissing everything I believed in. He says, at that moment, I knew things would never be right between us. We just saw the world in different ways. I was disgusted, and I would have been too. He says, I was disgusted that she didn't want to work, and she was disgusted that I thought she should. Two different people. He says, I understand that she had the responsibility of raising our son largely on her own. He says, I tried to apply less pressure on her when he was younger because of that. Much respect to him. Because once he was in his teens, he didn't need someone holding his hand every second. He said, I hope Shaniqua would finally start to show some ambition. She didn't. He says, there was a period where she made some noise about getting into real estate. I thought that was a great idea. Atlanta was a growing market, and it was. And I offered to pay for the classes so that she needed to start to get her license. But after a few months, it was clear the passion wasn't there. Keyword passion. All right. She wasn't excited walking into a house for the first time and envisioning all the possibilities for it by taking the older property, fixing it up, and flipping it for a profit. She just liked that being a real estate agent was something you could do from home. Of course, nothing ever happened. Looking back, he says, I could see that the moment when Shaniqua said, and answered, I can come up with is that I actually might have done too much for Marquez. How do you make a privileged child feel deprived or angry? He said, I guess by getting him whatever he wants. She said, I skipped my bad. She said, ain't nobody work if they don't have to do it. When do it, and our relationship hit the point of no return. Until then, I had visions that we would still fashion some sort of partnership. Maybe not romantically, but at least as parents with a common goal, a business we could start that would benefit our son down the road. When it was clear that she was not only did not share that vision, but was actually offended by it, my attitude towards her completely changed, and I became petty. It was as if I were a fitness buff and she was obese. Every time she'd pick up another proverbial cookie, I'd be like, darn, you really need that cookie? It's just going to go straight to your hips. I was barely conscious of it, but I was being mean in hope that it would embarrass her into some sort of action. It had the opposite effect, though. The more I honed in on her lack of hustle, the more she began to resent me. The resentment kept building up between us until it matured into hate, a hate that's still present to this day. What's upsetting isn't just that our relationship has become so toxic, but to that she pressed that sense of resentment and entitlement to belong to our son. He'd been given every advantage in the world, far beyond most kids born in the ghetto, especially 50 Cent, but he still feels like he's been somehow cheated or robbed by me. It's a scenario I'd never imagined I find myself in with my firstborn child, but here we are. And at the end of the day, it's sad, the fact that 50 Cent had to go through this, and a lot of parents have to go through this. But the thing is, the point of the matter of this live is that 50 Cent was with a woman who had no drive and ambition. There's a lot of women who are with men who have no drive and ambition. I don't care how good looking somebody is, if you can't hold an intellectual conversation with somebody, if they don't have the same drive and hustle, the sexiest thing on a female is drive and hustle. Period. To me. And especially at this point in my life. The sexiest thing on a woman is drive and hustle. Social media, I see beautiful women all day. Women see good looking men all the time. That, it is what it is. But the purpose of the matter of me reading this book about 50 Cent and the experiences that he went through, because I've done this is like my second or third time doing it, is basically the point of the matter is, and I read this chapter today. That's why it really hit home to me. I'm just like, this is what I'm talking about. You can look good all day, but what's going on up here? And I would imagine a female would want to feel the same way. A man could look good all day, but if he sounds like an idiot, do you really want to be with him? And that's a yes or no question. I can't answer that question. I don't know. I don't really want to be with nobody like that if we can't hold an intellectual conversation and get a hustle going on and work together. This ain't 1955. This is 2025. Okay? Don't need nobody just sitting at home, smoking blunts, getting high, Netflix and chill, and being on social media all day and ain't being productive in any aspect in any way. That's dead. especially with the cost of living. And then, once again, what are we going to have to talk about? Not a darn thing. So, anyways, that's why I'm going to Invest Fest on the 22nd, Atlanta bound. You know what it is. If you're going to be there, Earn Your Leisure University, EYL. We're going to get it in, assets over liabilities, because 50 Cent was talking about his baby mom, how she became a liability. In the beginning, she was an asset. Then she turned into a liability because she didn't want to do anything. Women have this. Men have this. There's no gender war here. If anybody takes it that way, miss me with all that nonsense. Do the great free things. Like, share, and subscribe. Like I said, I got subscriptions. If you want to get a subscription on TikTok with me, hit it up. Get a subscription on YouTube. Name is the same. Larry's Anything Goes. Do the great free things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Make money moves or you can live more like a fool. Is it saying Spanish? Bienvenido a la vida. Welcome to the life.